tears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll find them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my soul has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turned Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to commit it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up.
So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you.
Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of life. Send down your warriors with the hello, they carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil tries trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming, I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we decide?
No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer them.
I am a man, I am a champion, I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PG Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Round Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever you may be. A special good morning to you. It seems that I'm having a little bit of difficulty with a sound. My little technician there, are you hearing me clearly? I seem to have lost some sound. All right. Is this better now? You're hearing me now? All right, I could work with that. All right, good morning to all of you. And of course, it's a beautiful morning in Grenada, as is every morning in Grenada, whether it's raining, whether it's sunshine, whatever it may be. It's always a beautiful, beautiful morning in the Isle of Spice. I know that we are all blessed to get up this morning and rise and shine and be grateful for the fact that we're alive. And that's the most important thing that there is right now, to be alive. I want to shout out a very, very, very happy birthday to my girl, Miss Jacob. Miss Jacob, good morning. Good morning and happy birthday. I know that you told me your plans for today, so I know that you're going to have a wonderful day. I know it's going to be filled with fun and excitement, and you deserve it. You know, you're such a vibrant person. When I get to that age, that big number, I hope to be as vibrant and as alive and as exciting as you are. You know, these are the things that I look forward to people like that who make getting to a certain age seem so effortless and so fun and so wonderful. You know, so Miss Jacob, I hope that you have a great day and that it's filled with a lot of love and it's filled with a lot of laughter. You know, the presents and stuff, they will come, but the love and the laughter, that is what is most important in all of this. All right. I just want to take a quick moment here to, we are going to talk about a few things this morning. I should be receiving a phone call, a very important phone call from a representative from the Ministry of Health who will be providing us with further details on the reopening of the airport, the app. I know a lot of people yesterday had questions on the app or about the app. How do you download it? Where do you get it from? And all of these things. You guys had a lot of questions, and hopefully that individual will be able to answer them. So I'm waiting for them as soon as their time permits to give us a call. But this morning I want to just shed some light on a situation. So I did a little bit of research as it relates to the market situation. I know we had a lot of conversation about it in the past few days. And of course, we didn't speak about it yesterday because yesterday we were focused on a more specific topic, and that had to do with the reopening of the airport for the people in the diaspora who really wanted to know. We wanted to spend some time there. But this morning, I want us to touch a little bit on the issue of the market. You see, that's why I always say to people, it is important for us to listen to all sides of the story before we make a judgment. All right. And even still, when a judgment has been made, or when you've heard all sides of the story, it doesn't mean that you have to pick a side. You know, sometimes you can just be neutral. You can agree with some things that the government says. You can agree with some things that the market vendors say. You don't always have to agree with a side or pick a side. You can be neutral and understand both sides. You know, that's also an option. So sometimes we feel we always have to be on a side. We don't always have to be on a side. We can choose to be neutral. We can choose to understand both sides of the issue and just leave it at that. So in my research, what I found, now all vendors in the market, all vendors, not just the vegetable vendors, but all vendors in the market were asked to relocate to the National Stadium, where they now have the market. People in the market were set up in that area so that they can ply their trade. It gives you more space and you don't have to worry about it being crowded and so on. And that was partly put in place as a result of the COVID-19 policies and procedures. So they were all asked to go to that area. Now, some people believed that they ain't gonna make no money across this, so they're not going. They're gonna just disregard all of the protocols and they're gonna go back in the market. And that's what happened. Now, renovations, and this is something that's not new, and that's why I always tell people, if you don't know, you don't know. It's okay to say you don't know. But not knowing and pretending like you know, and you go in on public forums and say all kind of things that ain't making sense, that is something that we have to stop as a people. So people are going around saying how they just come and they bully the people out of the place and give them a notice and all. That is not the case. Preparations are being made for the renovation of the market. And this is something that has been asked for a while now. We have had market vendors complaining about the conditions and market vendors complaining that the market needed repairs. And now is the opportune time to get it done. It's being done. Preparations are being made for the renovation of the market. And that is the reason why they were asked to vacate. Now, they weren't supposed to be there in the first place. That is where we need to start. They were not supposed to be there in the first place. So being asked to leave, right? At this point in time, if they're being asked to leave, it is not because anyone is bullying them into doing it. It is not because people are trying to show that they are dictators and they can just control how things happen. That is not the case. And sometimes we have to take that part of how we feel out of the situation in order to have a clearer idea of what is happening and what the actual situation is. So that is not what happens. Renovations are being made to the market because you have to admit that the same people, the same individuals who are saying that, oh, well, let's stay, give us an opportunity to make some money and all of that. These same individuals are the same ones that will complain about the state of the market. Let's be honest. And we know that that is the truth. So we have to stop playing jack on both sides. And we have to start seeing things as they are, you know, and hearing the whole story before we can make a determination of what we will and will not believe. I listened to radio programs this morning and I hear people calling and saying all sorts of horrible things. And we gone back down that road where we feel that it's okay to just say all kind of things. You know, slander and libel is still a thing, right? We understand that is still a thing. It still holds up in court. And if one of these days somebody were to go to the courts for some of you for slandering their name and making these libelous statements against them, then we would start talking about victimization and dictatorship. But we want to be able to do our own thing and say our own thing, say what we want, how we want, when we want, where we want, without regard for other people's feelings or if there's any truth in what we are saying. And that's a big problem. I have a problem with that. I don't know who else has a problem with it, but I do. You know, we always say we never feel something or we never understand a situation until it hits home. So we feel comfortable saying what we want to say about people because we feel that they're in a position where they can't answer back, or they're in a position where they can't say anything, or they're in a position where we can keep them grounded, keep them where we want because they need we vote. So we could just say what we want about them and they can't respond back. But put yourself in the situation. Think about if you were in that place and it was your family, and people were saying all sorts of ill things about them. How would you feel? That's why I always say to people, we always appeal to, or it's important to appeal to the personal side of things. Because it's human beings that we're dealing with. It's human beings that we are dealing with. It's not machines. You know, and I hear people saying, oh, well, they're just putting people in place to carry out their work and to do what they want them to do and to but the public service is there. That is their job, is to implement some of the processes and the procedures and so on that the administrators sit and put together. And mind you, some of the policies and procedures that the administration is putting together is at the recommendation of some of the same public servants, you know. or at the recommendation of some of the same people in Grenada. So we've developed this culture and we need to stop because it's not bringing us anywhere. We just keep pulling and tugging at each other as a people, bringing down this person, whether it's because of politics, whether you believe that they're in a position that they don't deserve to be in. I don't know who made you the judge of something like that. But we do it. And the first step to change is acknowledging the fact that there is a problem. And if we cannot accept the fact that we do these things, if we cannot accept the fact that we are our own worst enemies, if we cannot accept the fact that we pull down our own brothers and sisters more than anyone else, then it's just going to continue and it will become a cycle. And from that cycle, it will become a norm and a way of life. And people would just become comfortable with the fact that I can just say what I want about anyone. So we're going to open the lines for a bit this morning. The number to call is 440-7377. If you are calling locally, if you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101. While we wait for that representative from the Ministry of Health to give us a call so we can get some more information on the opening of the airport, the app, and the that form that you have to fill out. How do you access it? Where will it be accessed from? And all of these things. These are all things that we need to look at. I want to read to you, though, in the interim, a press release that came from the government of Grenada yesterday. All right, let me just take some time to pull it up here. And it heads attempts by businesses to defraud the government of Grenada causes delay in disbursement of benefits under the stimulus package. And if you listen to the show on Wednesday, we spoke to Ms. Chanel Andrew, and she indicated that there were some problems as it relates to businesses and the stimulus package. They did experience some issues with businesses not paying and so on. And we're going to read that. We're going to read that press release, and you're going to get an idea of what some of the difficulties are. All right. Let me see here. Okay, we have a call and we also have a comment. So let's do both first, and then we'll read the press release. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. Good morning to Grenada.
Hi, good morning.
You started with this topic this morning with the market.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm not quite sure about, based on what the vendors has been saying, one is that the manager of the market don't normally communicate with them. In fact, one guy was saying for 4 years now, they never even had a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, they just get this thing. I think he told them whether yesterday or when that the police was going to be there to move them, and that was it. So this is very confusing to me. I'm not sure now if you have people over in the stadium that are vendors. If not, that means it's very fishy that the information got through to them. I mean, was even given to them. I'm not sure. Do you know if you have, at this point, vendors in the National Stadium?
Yes, there are actually a lot of vendors in the National Stadium. Those vendors who sell produce like vegetables and fruits and so on, they are all in the National Stadium. Arrangements have been made, and this was done even before we started opening up.
Okay.
They were placed in different locations, and it's not just in St. George. It's in St. David and these other places have arrangements where the vendors would go to. I believe La Sagesse is one of those areas as well. And the National Stadium, they put up tents, they gave them tables and chairs and all of that so that they are able to establish the market from there. right? This was done
Right.
initially so that the social distancing aspect of the protocols could be adhered to, right? But given the
Okay.
fact that that has already been established, then the Ministry of Works is now moving to the refurbishment of the market, which you would understand it kind of falls nicely in place because the arrangements have already been made for them to have somewhere they can ply their trade, as well as the market being vacated enough for them to begin work. So they
All right.
weren't supposed to be in the market in the first place.
Well, now that you mentioned that there are vendors in the National Stadium, that changed the whole narrative. That means information was given
Yes,
because you will not have vendors over there if information is not given.
of course.
And what I find is strange with the media, if they know certain things, you go to interview somebody, I think you're supposed to put certain questions to them. But how come you're saying that you know nothing about that, but here we have people already in the stadium? They're supposed to ask
Exactly.
questions too, instead of
Yeah.
just thinking and just making the government look bad. I think honestly that the media they could do a better job. You have to ask questions. You have to investigate. Because in no reason I'm supposed to be hearing that from HARDTALK. I should have been hearing that from MTV last
From
night
MTV.
or GBN.
Right.
You know, so that's my thing. That clears up my mind, and that tells me that they was just hard-headed.
Yeah, because
They were
and
just
I'll be
hard-headed.
honest with you, caller. When I did the investigation, because I did make a few calls to get clarity, because I wasn't certain on what the entire issue was or what it surrounded. I heard about even before I came on the program yesterday morning, I heard about the issue and the protesting and so on, and I chose not to speak about it simply because I didn't have all of the facts, right?
Right.
So I didn't want to speak about it. Questions are being asked and I can't answer because I have no facts on the issue. And I'm not in the business of just giving people information and have no facts to back it up, right?
Right.
So when I did the research, it was noted, because even before we went back to a sense of normalcy where people could now open their businesses and so on, and people were clamoring for the vendors to be able to ply their trade, that established that market, that farmers market and so on in the National Stadium was established, right? The tents were already up, the chairs were there, the tables were there, and people were there. People go there on Fridays and during the week consistently to buy their produce and so on. So that was already established. So it's not something that is new. It's not something that was established a month ago and now that they're hearing. And even if they're saying that they've never heard from Mr. Mason, then we need to look into that, because if you have a manager for a market, then you should be hearing from him more often. So that is not an issue really to bring into light to say that the government is using him to bring the message across, because of course that is his job, right? To inform them. He manages the market. His job is to inform them of what is going on. And I keep telling people that is what leadership is. He may not even agree with what is happening, but he has to make that hard decision because he's a leader. It's his job, But it is something that has already been established. The people that are there now, they're not supposed to be there. And then what would you say?
right.
What would you say to the people who have been in the National Stadium for these months, right? Following
yeah.
the protocol. What would you say to these people now that you have a bunch of them that are in the St. George's Market? They're not supposed to be there. They are making a set of noise because they want to use the market, but there are others who are in the National Stadium week after week after week doing the right thing. What do you now say to these people who've been following the rules?
Yeah, that's another thing. But I want to. I'm not sure if it happened, but I just want to add that I think going forward, the whoever is responsible for things like this, even though you may verbally or by way of letter give the vendors this type of information, they should also look into a notice board. So you see from X date, to X date, the market would be closed due to renovation and stuff like that. So the public know, and then they also see it, and because I mean, it makes the government looks bad. It makes Mr. David looks bad because he's the minister for the town of St. George. I'm not sure about Mr. Mason, but it makes him look as they put him actually in a bad light. So everything, and then the media also would have done an incomplete job. They would have done an incomplete job, in my opinion. So I think going forward, things like this, I think they should just put a notice board like 2 or 3 different places, so that people would know and all this confusion would be done with.
All right.
So anyhow, have a good day to you. Take care.
All right, you too. Thank you so much.
Oh, and a good weekend too.
Yes, thank you. You too, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution. All right. So like I said, all of the facts need to be gathered on the situation, because you have a bunch of people who are in the market at the National Stadium, and they've been there for weeks because that is what the protocol is, right? And they seem rather comfortable because I haven't heard any complaints from them thus far. So they seem rather comfortable. And then you have another set of people who have been asked to leave the market because they're not supposed to be there in the first place. But they're being asked mainly because renovations need to be done. And they don't want to move, and there is protest. And we seem to be supporting something like that. I mean, we gotta know all of the facts. Good morning, caller.
Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, good morning. How are you?
Greenman is here.
Hey, how are you?
So everything good?
Everything is good.
All right. Well, myself, everything good. Well, we're talking about the market. Yesterday, I was by the stadium, and I was interviewing a few people.
Right.
About the market, and they tell me they have meeting with all the vendors. But all the vendors will be in the stadium.
Right.
But refuse to go in the stadium.
Right.
So I don't know why this thing has to be. I don't know if it's politics or there are politics in it, but the people say they're supposed to be in the stadium. And it's why they want to make this kind of bacchanal. And they explained to me the market that we pay.
Right.
So they explained to me everything about that. So I don't know why. I don't know why. So I know, people make it issue, but I know what is the fact is, because I do not take things from people and say things. I listen to the program, and I interview with people,
right,
and then I get my facts.
Right. That's
so
the way
when
to
I'm
go.
Speaking about something, or somebody speaking about something, I go tell them that that's nonsense.
Right.
Because I know that is not the fact.
Right.
Because months and a whole year, or maybe a year and a half, they were saying they have to do some work in the market.
Of course.
They break down certain part of the building in the market because they say they have to do something. So the people who they in the market, so who know and so who have an idea, they will do something in the market any time from now.
Yeah.
So they get the opportunity now to move them and bring them in the stadium, so they have that opportunity to do what they have to do.
Yep. And
then if they want a good market, now it's time to do the good market.
Yeah.
All the time they're complaining.
Yep.
The market that, the market this. And now they want to do something, now they complain again. You don't know how to please graders, so just you have to forget them and do what you have to do. So anyhow, you take care.
You too.
And have a nice weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah. I want to make a statement here in relation to development. Development is a tricky thing. We want it, but we don't want to pay the price that comes with it. And I'm not just speaking about the development of a country. I'm speaking about even development in our own personal lives. We want things in life, but we don't want to make the sacrifices to get these things. And we have a call on the line. Let's take this call quickly. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Uncle.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Everything?
Everything's good.
Mr. Uncle, when I look at the situation with the vendors in the stadium and in the market, Because look, I am in vendors. If all vendors are vendors and everybody want to eat their food, and I do believe that when some vendors stay in the market and some go in the stadium, they must stay in the market, they depriving the others that are in the stadium because what happens when people drop a bus, they go to it's easier, much easier for them to buy things.
Yeah.
So then, you see what happens with the vendors now? They don't care about some vendors. But if you care about vendors, and everybody will go into the stadium, and there is no other place for customers to come and buy. Everybody go end up in the stadium to buy. But when some in the market and some in the stadium, you deprive them that in the stadium from getting a sale, while them in the market getting a sale. So I think it's time for vendors to come together and care about other vendors. Every vendor they need money. They need because they have farmers to take care of. So I do, as we say, we want development. We want the market to develop, but some of us don't want to move too much from the market. But we want the market to develop. What could that happen?
Yeah.
So because they will not be in the city forever. So then let call for in the market to just for time. Have some patience. Go into the stadium. When you go in the stadium, everybody will come in this as customers and buy from you. Everybody will get a sale. But when you stay in the stadium, and some people go in the market, what happens?
Yeah.
They will not get much because they buy from people in the market.
Yeah.
So I have to say to people, let's come together and let us look at and care about one another because everybody needs to get some money from the customers. You don't have one to go.
You as well, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution on the topic. Yep, development always comes at a cost. There is some form of inconvenience when development happens. It may not be an inconvenience that affects you personally, but it may affect someone else. You know? So we want it, we ask for it, we need it, we cry for it. And when it is being done, we have a million reasons to give on how it is disturbing or inconveniencing our lives. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. So, in regards to the conversation this morning, the discussion this morning, the people at the markets being relocated to the stadium to sell their produce, right? A couple corrections to that. There have been some people at the National Stadium since the COVID regulations came into place, and they've been constant, and it's a few vendors. There are not enough tents and tables down at the National Stadium to house to take care of the needs of the vendors in St. George's, both Melville Street and the market, Granby Street and the market. If work had to be done on the market, before the work was started, provisions needed to be made for vendors, especially in this time when some people are depending on the government for stimulus checks. If people are willing to go there and earn a little money, they must be given the avenue to do that. So I'm not, even if the work was seen that it was needed to be done on the market, before that, the provisions for the people were supposed to be made.
All right,
and there's not a lot of
caller,
not a lot of vendors at the National Stadium. It's just a few vendors.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you for a moment.
Go ahead.
Let me stop you for a moment because I need to correct you. You are incorrect in saying that there are not enough tents for the vendors, because I believe that there is a process in which the vendor must apply or say that they need space. Because from what I've been... Hold on, no.
The vendors have not applied?
Hold on, no. Because I think I know exactly who you are, and I am...
No, it's not a matter of who
hold
I
on,
am.
hold on.
Who I am. This is the first time I'm calling into the program. It's not a matter of who I am.
No, it's really not the first time, but let me correct you.
No, it's the first time I'm calling into your program.
Let me correct you, caller.
You don't know who who I am.
Let me correct you.
Uh-huh.
Because I pass there every single day.
I shop there.
I pass there every...
I shop there.
Are you going to allow me to talk? Because I am the host. So if I want to interject, and I will allow you to talk, but I'm interjecting at this point. So are you going to allow me to speak, or are we going to just...
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, great. So I pass there every day. And there are a lot of vendors there. I passed there this morning, and all of the tents there were occupied. Over the period, more and more tents have been erected. And I am absolutely certain that the Ministry of Agriculture has a plan in place that if there are more vendors who would like to use that facility, that they can erect tents. I mean, the island does not consist of only 10 tents. So it doesn't mean that if more vendors want to go there, there isn't enough space. There is an entire car park. Only the outer skirt of a portion of that car park is being used, right? So in saying that there isn't sufficient facilities, that is incorrect, because you do not know that to be saying that, right? And I have seen day by day, week by week pass by, and either one or two tents in addition to what is being erected. Also, when I passed there this morning, all of the tents were occupied. All of the tents are not occupied every day of the week. That is correct. But on a Friday, when most of the market vendors go out to do their to ply their trade, it is occupied. So I have to correct you there. That is a very incorrect statement.
Well, I'll have to stand to correct you on that. Because, first of all, I'll ask you, are you aware of the number of vendors we have in the St. George area utilizing Granby Street and the Market Square? Are you aware of how many vendors we have in Grenada?
I don't know the exact number.
Okay. Do you know how many vendors have applied to the Ministry of Agriculture for usage of the National Stadium?
No, I don't have that. I don't have that number, and that is my point exactly.
Do you know if they are pending requests?
Right, and that is my point exactly. But do you know as well?
No, I'm asking you because, you see, I know what I see.
No.
Yes.
But caller, you're asking me.
The vendors at the stadium right now, right? The amount of vendors at the stadium, it's limited. It's the tents that are there are not enough to take care of the vendors in the St. George area.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. See, I'm not going to sit here and argue a point with the caller when the caller himself, all he's trying to do is to make it seem as if there is inadequate facilities for the vendors, when that is not the case. You know, what is happening at this point? If there are, and I'll find the information, it's not hard to find, it just takes a call to the Ministry of Agriculture. So by Monday, I'll have that information available. You see, we have to be fair in our judgment. You can't call the program on the basis of trying to say that the people in the market are correct because there aren't facilities that are available for them. That is an incorrect statement. I'm quite sure that the Ministry of Agriculture is quite capable of finding more tents, finding more shade and covering and tables and chairs and meeting the needs of the vendors that are there. In addition to that, there are some vendors who will not go to the National Stadium because they are very comfortable vending in their communities. That is something that has been established and they've been given permission to do that. And they're quite comfortable with it. There are vendors who ply their trade in the National Stadium who aren't quite happy with the accommodations but are understanding to the cause. So let us not try to point fingers at anybody. I will not allow it. It would not happen, right? If you are saying that the ministry does not have proper accommodations, they don't have enough space, then you must provide proof to say that. All that I am saying is, I'm sure that they have plans in place in which they can make accommodations for more vendors if that becomes the case. You understand? So let's not do that this morning. You know, we're not doing anybody any good by doing that. It is not fair to the Ministry of Agriculture to make that thing. And then you're asking me if I know how many applications and if I know how many vendors have applied and so on. No, I don't have the answer to that question. I'm sure it's not hard to find, but neither do you. So asking me the question isn't going to solve any problem, you know? So let's not according to the Prime Minister, let's not go there. We're not going to go there this morning. All right? All I'm saying, guys, is that we have to be mindful of the fact that there are people in the stadium. They are following the rules. You know, they have been following the rules. And if all vendors are expected to be there, then all vendors must be there. All right? Let's take a short break and then we will be back with some more information for you.
Like the rest of the Caribbean and communities all around the world, is facing an unprecedented challenge with managing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are thankful for the support of Grenadians and friends of Grenada, both here and abroad, who have come together to offer prayers, support with supplies, volunteer their time and expertise, and give donations. Many of you continue to reach out, asking how you can help. In response to your request, and to further streamline our procurement process of personal protective equipment and other supplies, the Government of Grenada has developed the COVID-19 Response Support Fund. The fund gives Grenadians, friends of Grenada, and organizations the opportunity to support and partner with us through donations in the fight against COVID-19. If you are in Grenada, funds can be donated at the Grenada Cooperative Bank at account number 413-000-849. For further details and donation options when contributing from outside of Grenada, please visit our website covid19.gov.gd/donate.
All right, guys, and I do have a correction to make. The market vendors in the market, they do not fall under agriculture. It actually falls under the Ministry of Works. And from what I understand, the Ministry of Works, they currently have a team in the market. They are also addressing the issue. So you see, sometimes we argue and we ain't even arguing about the right thing. You know, they fall under works. But as I've been informed that during COVID-19 and because of the whole situation, there has been some collaboration between works and agriculture to ensure that they facilitate the farmers market so farmers can ply their trade, and also so that vendors have the ability to do whatever it is that they do from the market in the stadium as well. So you see, it's more complicated than we are just looking at it as they just take people and throw them anywhere, or they put them out of the market and all of these things. Let's be honest. They're not supposed to be there, and they're not supposed to be there. If work has to be done on the market, just let the work be completed, because guess what? You're going back to a better market. You're going back to a market where all of the things that you need for your comfort, or maybe not all, some of the things that you need for your comfort will be there. So let's not argue on who should be responsible and how many tents they have to accommodate them, and it's not sufficient, and we've seen a little bit of people there. And let us not go down that road, because it's a very slippery slope that we're not going to get out of. You understand? So we have to be fair. If they're not supposed to be there, they're not supposed to be there. If, however, they're not supposed to be there and no accommodation has been made for them, then that is a different story. And then I would be sitting here saying something completely different along the lines of accommodation should be made for them, if that was the case. But it is not the case. So let us be fair in our judgment. All right? Let us be fair and let us use all of the facts. So before we run out of time, I want us to talk about these irregularities. And I want to read to you a press release that came from the Government of Grenada. And it reads, the Government of Grenada is sending a stern warning to businesses which have made false declarations to benefit from the economic stimulus packages. And I have to pause because we're getting a phone call and it looks like a very important one. Good morning, caller.
During that time, we allow.
Hello. Hi, good morning.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too good by listening to you and the last caller. Because I feel we should not have that problem.
Right.
Yes, you are the host, and you know, he's going to try to make his point,
right,
regardless right or wrong. But what I think you should do is try to get some sort of recording, because we must announce that sometime. And if we don't have something that we announce to the public, then we all in fault.
right.
Because you have to work too hard to explain.
You're fine.
You see? Yes, you have to work too hard. Well, you don't need to do that. You just joke the tape like what Sheldon used to do, and you hear, on April so-and-so, or whatever the month is, all vendors supposed to think because they were going to repair the market X, Y, Z.
Right.
Then we have no problem.
Right.
So if the government doesn't have that, the government is at fault. Because we can't have one man to go and tell the vendors mouthing. No, that don't work anymore. We have technology now.
Mm-hmm.
You get something, boop, you go, you joke your stuff, Sister Duncan, and you don't talk. So regardless what they're telling you, it don't make no sense.
Right.
That's exactly what Sheldon used to do. You joke it in, you listen, case closed. But if the government does not do that, and at the last minute, the vendors know they had to move, But where was the announcement on the radio station? They must have that. And from now on, anything, you got to get straightened. Sister Duncan, make sure you have it right, because too much of politics is playing now.
Too much politics. You're so right.
Too much politics. Nobody wants to help Grenada anymore.
Yeah.
They just want Dr. Mitchell to go. But when he go, I'm sorry for all of us. Because you have to go. But I don't want to go just go and lay down in a coffin. I want to go and sit down wherever you want to sit in his mansion. You want to travel and enjoy the last days of his life. But Grenadians coming out, they don't want that. They think better is ahead. But you just sit down and see Sister Duncan and pray for the children and pray for the people of Grenada.
Of
Have
course.
a good one.
You too. Yeah. I think what happened is that it wasn't a general announcement, because it was something that happened as a result of COVID. Everybody was home, and we Grenadians were very concerned about the vendors and how they would be able to ply their trade. And that decision was made where we would put up farmers market across the island, so that we can acknowledge and we can adhere to the physical distancing rules, right? So the stadium was identified, Lassages was identified, the Grenville bus terminus was also an area that was identified as well, for these things to happen. And I would assume that as a result of all of that, since that has already been established, right, it was the opportune time for the refurbishments to be done on the vendors market. And a meeting was held, A meeting was held with the vendors. It's not something that just popped up out of nowhere. It's not something that just appeared, But the caller is very right. It's probably time that we start getting recordings of these things to put out there, because some people just don't believe when you say it. So you have to give them a clear idea as to what happened. You sit down in a meeting and you do a recording and it says, okay, this is what was said. We were told, So it wasn't something that just happened overnight, that they make you believe that the Ministry of Works just came and said, listen, y'all have to move because we want to refurbish the state, the market, and no preparation was made for them. That did not happen. All right? So we have to be mindful of the things that we allow people to make us believe. Do your own assessment of the situation after hearing both sides, and then determine what you will choose to believe. All right. So we're going to go back to that, because this is a very important topic that I want us to talk about. I know the market is the thing right now, but I really want us to spend some time on this issue, because we did receive a lot of phone calls as it relates to the stimulus package, what was happening. People were indicating that they haven't received any payments, that the payments that they were receiving is meager, that they've only received one payment and they've never received a payment again. Only last night I was listening to a young lady who works with a hotel on the south of the island. They received a payment in April, and every time she called the business, they told her, next week. We in July, and she's still hearing next week. So a lot of these things have been happening. So I want to read this press release because it does highlight some of these discrepancies, some of these problems that we've been having with the stimulus package. All right. And it goes on to say the warning comes against the background of several irregularities discovered by the COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat. In processing and validating applications submitted by businesses for payroll support, the discrepancies have resulted in delays in processing of applications, as this led to an addition to another layer of validation to the verification process. And it's a long press release, so I want to take it in parts and read it and go through it. So when Chanel was here earlier this week, she did indicate that they did have some delays. And there have been people complaining about these delays, saying that they have not received payments for the month of June or so on. And now we can understand why that is. Because whereas you could just get the application, it's filled out, everyone is signed on the dotted line, everything is filled out the way that it's supposed to be, and they make their checks with NIS and so on. Now they have to act as financial investigators, because there are so many irregularities happening. So many people are being so dishonest in a time when we do not need this kind of dishonesty. Because at the end of the day, it is the Grenadian public that is that stands to be affected the most by this. It goes on to read, among the anomalies identified are the inclusion of service charge as part of the payroll support claim, submitted data not matching records at the National Insurance Scheme, and misrepresentation of salaries of senior and management level staff to make them eligible for stimulus payments, despite being expressly excluded from the benefit. So let's just discuss that for a moment. So it reads here that the service charge, that service charge that we pay when we go to a restaurant and it's on our bill, we pay a service charge every time we receive service from one of the waiters or so on. There's a little fee attached. That is also being added to payroll support, to the salaries, right? You also have them inflating the salaries of the ordinary worker. So let's say, for example, I'm working at X hotel or X restaurant or X bar, and I work for $1,200. When I send in, or when my boss sends in that form, it would read that I work for $2,000, or that I work for $1,800, or something along those lines. And when it is matched, because it has to be matched with the NIS. Remember, the NIS would have a record of your salary, because that is what is used to calculate what percentage of your what amount of money comes out from your salary to pay the NIS, and also what amount of money the employer has to pay on your behalf as well, right? So they have a record of how much you make. So when they do that cross check, they are realizing, well, no, NIS say $1,200, but look, we seen $2,000 here, then they must now dig further to find out, well, why is this way? And now they must check every single person. And now, so you understand, it's a longer process. And remember, we're dealing with over 5,000 applications. It's not 5 and 6 applications we're dealing with. 5,000 applications at that secretariat. I tip my hat to the workers there. who have to go through all of this information, and now with this added validation process. I mean, it is ridiculous. And then on top of that, you have senior management level staff. They were not eligible for stimulus payments because it was already established that most likely they made enough to be able to sustain themselves within that period. I mean, we all were affected. I didn't qualify for stimulus package, and there were a lot of other people who didn't qualify for stimulus package. Even some people who may really, really need it, you know. And you have these people inflating deflating the amount that their senior management staff worked for. So you have a senior or executive manager working for $14,000 a month, right? When they send that into the support secretariat, it's not $14,000 they're sending. They may send $2,000. Just so that that person can qualify, so that they can receive extra money, right? Now, on top of all of these problems, right, some businesses have also submitted inflated salaries of employees, which we mentioned before, and have actually remitted a smaller amount to them. So they're not sending in the inflated salary with the hope of the worker getting that $2,000 that they apply for. They're sending in that monies, that amount, and receiving that monies and giving the employee only the 40%. And in some cases, it's been recorded even less than the 40%. Now, mind you, the 40% is the government or state contribution. And I want to say state contribution because sometimes when we say government, we feel that it is the government of Grenada just have some way taking out money and just giving it away to people. It's not that, right? It is the state's monies. It's taxpayers' money as well, included in all of that, right? So you have these people. They apply for more and they give them less. Now, the 40% is what the state would give to these individuals or these companies, so they are able to ensure that these workers have something sustainable to go home with, right? Because, of course, we know it's a difficult time and everyone needs to be, everyone at least needs to be considered. Maybe not everybody could be helped, but everybody needs to be considered. So that was taken into consideration. Now, in addition to the 40%, that business is actually supposed to give you a little something extra. They are supposed to say, okay, well, we can't pay you your full salary, so let's pay you half of your salary. So we, in addition to the 40% that government is giving, we'll give you 50% of your salary, or we're going to give you 30% of your salary. So at least the employee goes home with a little 70% and so on. And that is not happening, you know. In most cases, they go home with the 40%. In some cases, they ain't even going home with the 40% that the state sent for them. And I mean, this thing is very heartbreaking. You know, and I'm going to read the part where it says here, additionally, the businesses have also submitted inflated salaries for employees, but have actually remitted a smaller amount to them. Employees have also reported to the Secretariat that some employers have paid them less than the 40% of the salary provided for the stimulus package for disbursement to approved applicants. Less than the 40%. And this 40% that we're speaking about is not 40% that is coming from the employer, you know. This 40% is state money that is being paid to these people because they have been so badly affected by COVID-19. And instead of the employee saying, okay, we go add 10% to that so you get 50%. Or we add in 20 to that so you get a 60%. Or we add in 30 to that so you get a 70%. They're actually giving them less than the 40%. I mean, these are the things that boils you on the inside when you think about it and when you hear about it. That there would be people who are so dishonest. And it goes on to say, in addition, some entities have not paid NIS for their employees since 2019, although employee records show deductions being made from their salaries. This caused further delays in verification of employees' information provided by employers. Look at that. So we have employees not paying NIS for the employers, for employers not paying NIS for the employees, but still taking it out of their salaries. And you know, that's why I say it's important for us as Grenadians to mind we business. Like, for example, I could pick up the phone and I can call NIS. I can give NIS my NIS number, and I can say to them, can you please tell me I've worked XYZ place, XYZ place, XYZ place from this year to that year. Can you please tell me if my payments are up to date? Tell me how many more contributions I need to make in order to meet my 500 contributions. Tell me if my employer has been paying my NIS on my behalf and so on. These are things that we need to start thinking about. These are things that we need to start minding our business about so that people are not taking advantage of us. You know, and it's difficult to sit here and say these things when you have unions who are supposed to be fighting for the rights of the working class people of Grenada. But for some reason, we just every time we see union is in some jump up with government. Why are the unions not checking on these small things? Informing workers of their rights. Informing workers of the things that they need to know as an employee. Instead of every time we have an issue with government, that's when you see them. That's when you hear them. Do a little program, buy a little slot on one of the little programs, and do a little program on workers' rights. Let the working class people of Grenada know that your employee is supposed to pay X amount of money for you, and you're supposed to get a pay slip that shows XYZ. Why are we not doing these things? I have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
You know, Ms. Duncan, you're right, when coming to union. Mm-hmm. The union, as you said, only to fight with government. But when to check on the workers' rights, they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. Because we in the same situation with the union. We closed down. The union meet with the management staff behind closed door. They didn't have any shops showed talking with the union when they do that. And they never even come back to us and tell us what the management say. All the management do, they just put some kind of money in the bank for us. Not even who make 23 years, who make 20-something years. In even add up to what we're supposed to get. And the union never even get involved to talk to the workers about what the management agree. They need the management staff didn't even give us a letter to state this was the breakdown of the money, what they give NIS and nothing. They just shove money in the back, and the union, while when presenting us, has nothing to say. So this is not fair. And I think it's time that the union seek workers' interests, not to only fight government, but seek workers' interests, so people could able to live good. And you cannot hear about the union now. You ain't hearing about union now. But the union just there, and people just come in and do workers what they want, and they just do, and they ain't doing anything about it.
It's very sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. You know, and it's true. And I mean, it's not just it's not just for workers who have a union who, because there are a lot of workers who are not represented by a union in Grenada. A lot of workers who are not represented. Let's take the Andel and Associates issue, for example. Some of the workers, they were not represented by a union. You know, there are a few other workers as well in some of the retail stores and so on that are not represented by unions, you know. So who is fighting for them? And that's my question. We have to think bigger than just my membership only consists of the people that pay their dues. But what happens to the rest of the Grenadian public? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I just want to make 2 points. One on the market. All the vendors that are jumping up today about the market, if they send them back in the market with no facilities, because there are protocols, and if they send them back there without facilities, the same people are condemning the government for fixing the market. They are the same ones that are going to say that, look, the vendors are in the market, they don't have place to wash their hands, they don't have enough toilets, and they don't have this and they don't have that. And the same vendors are going to jump on the government back for that. I mean, people have to understand that there are protocols to follow, and if the private sector have to follow, the government has to follow it too. They have to lead by example. Now, the next thing is these unions and them. They should be taking up some of the payments. They should be paying out some monies to the people that are paying them every month, and not have government. Everybody calling on the government, what is the government doing, and what's about the stimulus package? Why aren't they calling on the unions that they are paying every month to assist with the payments? They're talking about unemployment benefits, and what NIS is giving them is not enough. Then the union should step up and say, okay, you're getting that from NIS, and we're going to match it, or we're going to give you this to help with it. So people need to look at these unions and them and start challenging them. You know, start challenging them. That's my point.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Yep, and I said that earlier with the market issue. You know, if for any reason the Ministry of Works, I could say that with authority now because I've been corrected. If for any reason the Ministry of Works allows the vendors to go back to the market in its current construct, there would be a different issue. People don't have a place to wash their hands, they could be quarreling. There's no adequate bathroom facilities, they could be quarreling. There's no social distancing, they could be quarreling. So we got to choose the lesser evil, don't we? I mean, it's difficult. And I always say, I don't know if I could see myself in frontline politics, you know. I don't know if I can, because it's a difficult thing to have to deal with these kind of things, you know, where people are not taking the time to just look at things objectively and look at it from all sides, take a 360 view, right around the situation to make a determination. We just jump in on the quickest bandwagon that can get us to fame the fastest way. And I say that with no apology. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Megan.
Hi, good morning.
You telling me that the government paying the employee 40%, right? Which the employer supposed to pay with something. And out of the 40% that the government gives to the employer take it out and give them less?
Yes.
The employer?
Yes.
What I'm saying, what the government gives give the employer to pay to the employee. So, I mean, the employer taking out less out of the 40% and give to the employee?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. that is dishonesty to the highest mark.
That is how I felt when I heard it too.
Yeah, because what I'm saying, you're supposed to give. You don't give in. What the government gives you still
taken out of it.
Taken out from that? Jesus Christ, Lord of mercy.
Yeah.
Where are these people at? They have hard work. It's same workers. They have to work hard to make money to help enrich yourself. You're having the workers. You don't give in. Right? As the lady was saying just now, the union goes to where that Jan will give me enough. Jan should give 10%, but Jan give 5. But you can't, Jan, for giving 5. And you don't give me nothing?
And you're not giving anything. Yeah.
No. As I said, we need to manage our business. Many times when people something happen, we like to manage our business and we mind ours.
And we're not minding ours.
We should know what is happening, and when we observe that thing going on is wrong, we should complain. Let authority know what is going on. Don't have a wonderful day.
You too. Yep. Mind your business. I keep saying it over and over and over again so we don't end up in these kind of situations. Well, you know, COVID brought out a lot of things. It made you see people for who they really are. It brought out a lot of deficiencies in our systems. But it also is an eye-opener for a lot of people. Because can you imagine, you sit down whole time beating tebe behind government, and when it's time for you to retire and you call NIS, they tell you you ain't make no contribution since 19 whatever. You think that is an easy pill to swallow? And then you turn around now and you're blaming government because you spend so much time beating tebe behind administration after administration that you've never taken into consideration that you are responsible for your business. You think that's an easy thing to take on? So you reach 60 and you're ready to sit down and retire, or you reach 65 and you're ready to sit down and retire, and you have nothing to get because all the years that you've been spending beating tebe and making stupidness and jumping in every political situation, you have not been minding your business. So you have nothing to get at the end of the day. And then the state has to turn around and take care of you. And not government, the state. Because it's my taxpayers' dollars and it's my children's taxpayers' dollars. Because my children paying tax too, When I send them in the shop and buy something for themselves that VAT is attached to, they paying tax too. That have to take care of you. So we need to start minding our business. And I'm not against unions. I think a union is a wonderful thing, if it is managed and executed properly. If, in its truest sense, it looks out for all of the workers of Grenada. So you may not be able to represent them around the table, but you can give them that kind of support that they need to know that they're fighting for a cause that is right. You can give them information so that they're not taken advantage of in the private sector, so that they know what their rights are as a worker. And we're not hearing only about the rights of the worker when it's an issue in negotiation between government and the unions. But it must begin with us as a people, We are the only persons responsible for whatever happens to us in our lives. You can't blame nobody else. We have to be, we have to be better as a people. I don't know how else to put it. We have to start thinking of ourselves as if nobody else exists. Somebody's asking if NIS provides statements of contributions. Yes, I could pick up the phone right now and call the NIS, give them my NIS number, and they can provide me with a statement of every single contribution that has been made for me since I started working at the age of 18. Every single contribution, year to date. So it is not a difficult thing to find out. And it didn't need to take COVID-19 to bring something like that out. We should have, as individuals, we should have been calling out to NIS on a monthly basis to find out if our contributions have been made. These are things that we need to start considering. I mean, you have to be mindful of all of these things. So I want to continue in reading, and it says, employers are reminded that misuse of any funds paid in the stimulus package meant to be for the benefit of employees warrants forthwith repayment to the government if the funds are not used for the intended purpose. The violations are causing much concern for the Secretariat, as it appears to be quite pervasive, with numerous businesses attempting to defraud the system. In one instance, more than 100 employees at a single establishment were affected by the discrepancies uncovered during the processes and validation of applications. This is very vexing, eh? This is a very vexing issue. I am very displeased in what is happening. This is 100 vulnerable families that have lost some sort of support. Listen, this thing bringing a tear to my eye, when I think about it. We fighting around with each other, fighting up against government, and we looking in the wrong direction. So we had weeks and months of people just going around saying, I ain't getting no stimulus package payment, government are paying stimulus package, and talking amongst themselves, and nobody made a report. So you had so many vulnerable families that were affected by this thing. And nobody was the wiser to say, let's check the economic stimulus secretariat or economic support secretariat. And you had a bunch of politicians taking the plight of these people and try to use it as a weapon against, listen, y'all don't understand how deep this thing runs, I mean, I feel it deep down in my core, because this could have been my sister. It could have been my neighbor. It could have been my mother. And we have a bunch of politicians going on radio and sending out their goons. And I call them goons because all they're there to do is fight down and pull down and drag down any establishment that has been built for the benefit of the people, using the same people. And I say that with no apology. Taking this thing and putting a political spin on it and using the vulnerable emotional state that these people are in to try and get political points. So if the situation isn't vexing enough, just think about how many people have been disadvantaged because somebody told them that government lied, they're not paying stimulus package, when in actuality the problem is not the government of Grenada, and it could have been fixed even quicker if somebody had just picked up the phone and not sat in a little circle and blame government. How can this not make you angry? I mean, I'm so disappointed in these, and numerous, not one, not two. Numerous businesses have been engaging in this practice. And can you imagine, by doing this, they have further deprived any other individual that these little monies could have been dispersed to? Any additional people that could have been placed under the stimulus package because there was more monies available? Can you just think about that for a moment? And then you would understand why I feel the way I feel about this situation. Sometimes I say we jumping up to the beat of the drum, but sometimes it's a wrong drum we jump into. So sometimes we there and we jumping up behind the unions. We want more. We want more. We want more. But sometimes when we really need to be jumping up for fairness, for equality, for honesty, we jumping in the wrong place and to the wrong rhythm. You had a whole, how much months gone? 4 or 5 months gone. The unions are collecting, and continue, by the way, continue even over this period. Government has been paying for public servants their dues towards the unions. So continuing to collect monies on behalf of your union members. How much assistance have you provided to these people? Have you say, okay, for 2 months, you might not be able to do it for 3. 2 months, we'll give you 10% of your salary. A little is better than nothing. So for 2 months, we're going to provide you with 10% of your salary. Or 20% of your salary. Or we're going to give you a hamper. Nothing like that. But you're hearing different stories about they better not touch the salaries of public servants and all of these things. I'm really displeased. I am dissatisfied in the way that we are handling ourselves as a people. You are responsible for minding your business. You are responsible for investing in yourself. You are responsible for saying, listen, I am fed up with living in poverty. I am going to make a move. I'm not going to sit here anymore and point my finger at someone and say, listen, you are the reason why I'm stuck in poverty. You have to get up. You have to make that mental choice. You have to do it. Nobody's going to do it for you because everybody is concerned with their own business. We have a call on the line. Let's quickly take this call. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
Oh, is a recorded program?
No.
Oh,
we're live.
I'm live. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Miss Duncan, thanks for taking my call. And I can tell you that for I tuned in maybe in the last half hour, and I was saying to myself, well, maybe that was a program you had already before. And, because I'm telling you, you are so on point in terms of what you're talking about. Because listen to this. There are a lot of people in this country that realize the importance of what government is doing and trying to do. But some of them falls in the category of the naysayers, the enemies of progress, and enemies of the state. But they are prepared to do everything that is in the form of deception to those who need it the most. Listen to this. Because, for example, they tried to politicize the program that assists the poor and vulnerable in this country by telling people they are giving you these things because they want to keep you poor. You understand? They politicize the liberalization of the Nutmeg and Cocoa Association.
Yeah.
And Miss Duncan, they have done everything. The market in St. George's, everything that this government have attempted to do, have done, or initiated. There are a group of people in this country that falls in these three categories that are prepared to do everything that will deceive the Grenadian people. Mr. Duncan, as I wrap up here, listen to me carefully. The reason why I am saying that today is because I want to remind people where Grenada was in 2013 when this government took office and where we are today. Because the country is on lockdown still, and 4 months now, Ms. Duncan, the government has been able to fulfill all the obligation when it comes to running this country. All the obligations. And that is in what I categorize as wartime. And what we have been able to do and achieve in wartime, those before us was not able to do it in peacetime. When the country is closed, and what we are able to do now, this government, they was not able to do it in peacetime when the country was open and plane was flying in and out, and boats was coming in and out of this country, yachts. They was not able to do it. And look at what we have been able to do in wartime. Miss Duncan, do not underestimate for a second how far the naysayers, the enemies of progress, and the enemies of the state in this country, the groups that makes up the opposition to this government, do not underestimate for 1 single second how far they are prepared to go when it comes to destabilizing this government and destabilizing this country to create chaos and anarchy, hopefully that they will benefit from it. But God is not sleeping. Some people have said God not there in politics. Miss Duncan, God may not there in other politics, but I can tell you, He's there in Grenada politics. Have a pleasant weekend, my dear.
You too. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Guys, we gotta do better. And I will sit here every day and say we gotta do better if I have to, until we get it in our heads that we have to do better. And the caller is right. There are people out there willing to go to any lengths to use you as an individual to get to where they want to be in politics. Just remember that. You are responsible for you. You need to make that decision that says, I want to be better. My life has to be better. I want to do better. I don't want to remain in this state anymore. What can I do to grow? We have another caller on the line. Good morning. Oh no, it seems like we've lost that caller. All right, try calling us again because that would be the last call of the day. Yeah, you have to say, I am tired of living the way that I'm living. I'm ready. I've had enough. I want to move from point A to point B in my life. What do I have to do to ensure that that is done? We have another caller on the line, and that's our last call for the day. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment just listening to your programming. So some of the things that you mentioned, and I find very troubling is the fact that the employers are not paying out the money that the government issued out to the NIS. And once again, I do not live in Grenada, but I was born in Grenada. I left Grenada when I was very young, but I have love for Grenada. And then over the years, I've been kind of looking and watching and listening. And at the end of the day, it's Grenada is for Grenada, and all Grenadians have to come together. Sometimes there may be things that you might not agree with or, side with, but in a sense, it's about the country, and you have to put country first, not political lines, whether you be a NNP or whatever the other party is. It's about Grenada first. And I think once people start to realize that and we start moving together and just start thinking about it, it's not about who's in power, it's about everybody working together for the common cause. And you hit on a lot of stuff today, and a lot of your callers mentioned some very strong topics, but it's about taking care of the people, and the unions have to work for the people. And if the unions are not informing the people on their rights and not taking care of them, then you got to get rid of the unions. Put somebody in charge that is going to have your best interest, because people always want to collect funds from you, but they don't want to work in your behalf. And that is very troubling. Because as you said, it could be somebody that's your next door neighbor, your sister, your cousin, that was not given those funds, and those funds was available to them, and that's sad. And then to use one of your terms, vex. I get that's a Grenadian term, but I'm vexed also to listening that hardworking people is not getting the funds that was available to them. That is very sad.
It is.
But that's all I had for this morning. I just really appreciate listening to you this morning, and I like your passion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. And we've come to the end of the program, but before I go, of course, I cannot leave without saying and wishing the parliamentary representative for Carriacou and PT Martinique, the Honorable Kendra Maturin Stewart, a very happy birthday. I hope your day is filled with love, laughter, and lots of blessings. All right? Hope you have a wonderful day. Guys, we are out of time. But in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you. We don't ever want to be talking about you. Please enjoy the remainder of your day.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
Grenada, like the rest of the Caribbean and communities all around the world,
stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Government issues warning to businesses over attempts to defraud under the economic stimulus package. Stay with us, we'll have the details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, July 9th, 2020, I'm Delroy Louison. The government of Grenada is sending a stern warning to businesses which have made false declarations to benefit from the economic stimulus package and which have also inappropriately used funds received as part of this package. The warning comes against the background of several irregularities discovered by the COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat in processing and validating applications submitted by businesses for payroll support. The discrepancies have resulted in delays in the processing of applications, as this led to the addition of another layer of validation to the verification process. Among the anomalies identified are the inclusion of the service charge as part of payroll support claim, submitted data not matching records at the National Insurance Scheme, and misrepresentation of the salaries of senior and management level staff to make them eligible for stimulus payments, despite being expressly excluded from the benefit. Additionally, some businesses have also submitted inflated salaries for employees, but have actually remitted a smaller amount to them. Employees have also reported to the Secretariat that some employers have paid them less than 40% of the salary provided for in the stimulus package for disbursement to approved applicants. In addition, some entities have not paid NIS for their employees since 2019, although employee records show deductions being made from their salaries. This caused further delays in the verification of employee information provided by employers. The COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat, and by extension, the Ministry of Finance, is calling on employers to desist from the unlawful practice because it is not only unfair to employees who are already hard hit by the impact of the pandemic, but it also creates an unnecessary burden for the COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat to create additional layers of verification, a factor which subsequently causes delays in processing. Grenada receives more assistance in its fight to keep COVID-19 at bay. The government has been gifted with another large donation of rapid test kits, which is expected to assist healthcare providers on island in its prevention and management of SARS-CoV-2. Kevil Frederick has the details.
So today we hold the handover ceremony. This is the action to implement the initiative. So we continue to support Grenadian government and Grenadian people to defeat the virus. So we do what we say. So we will continue to cooperate with Grenada.
That was the People's Republic of China Resident Ambassador to Grenada, His Excellency Dr. Zhao, reassuring Health Minister the Honorable Nicholas Steele and Foreign Affairs Minister the Honorable Peter David that China will keep its promise in helping Grenada and other Caribbean countries fight the coronavirus. Dr. Zhao was speaking at a handover ceremony this morning of rapid IgM test kits to the Ministry of Health. Health Minister the Honorable Nicholas Steele, on receiving the kits, said Grenada was grateful for the assistance.
The government and people of Grenada, and in particular the Ministry of Health, I want to thank the Ambassador, his team, and the government and people of the People's Republic of China for the donation of these 6,000 rapid test kits. The rapid test kits are essential in our fight against COVID-19. They help now with the screening at our borders, as well as if there are any presence or threat internally as well. So we continue to be most grateful for their assistance with this, with the PCR kits that we got before, with swabs, with PPEs.
China, like other nations, stood side by side with Grenada in its response to the pandemic, as explained by Health Minister Steele.
Throughout this battle, the government and people of the People's Republic of China have been one of our best and strongest allies, and they continue to be so. I want to thank them again for this donation. Thank you.
Meanwhile, in extended gratitude to the Chinese people and the government, Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Peter David says China's assistance to Grenada during the past few months of the national response are well documented.
Without the People's Republic of China in this period, it would have been extremely difficult for us to do all that we did to contain the virus. So again, I'm just here to say thank you and to express deep gratitude on behalf of government, people, the ministry, and our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell. Thank you, and I look forward to our relationship over the next several years. Thank you.
For the National Report, I am Kevin Frederick.
Thank you, Kevin. Minister for Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transport and Implementation, Honorable Gregory Bowen, says his government is set to resume roadwork in the TBK community of Spring, St. George. Honorable Bowen, along with a team from the ministry that included Senior Road Officer Gregory Lauer, who has responsibility for roads in South St. George and St. George Southeast, conducted a site visit to the area on Tuesday. Work in the TBK community, he says, began 2 years ago.
We're preparing now to complete the pavement and also to establish paths so that you can go over a drain on the side there. As you see, the volume of water coming down here could be very large. So people coming out from the top, anywhere from Monjaloo can come down here. As usual, you see many people passing through the tracks, but they will be able to cross now in the high flooded times. So it's access to people about here and to the top of the road. So this will at least put this byway in a good state of use for many years to come.
Minister Bowen says the site visit was meant to reassess the area and review the scope of work to be carried out. That includes construction of 300 feet of concrete pavement and a cross culvert.
The pavement here could start here in 6 weeks to 2 months. We already have the design, and the engineers are here with us now just to form up. They have sort of standard designs, but they must tweak it around to fit its natural habitat. So this could start within 6 weeks. The pavement is extremely easy. We already have this designed and in place.
Senior Road Officer Gregory Lauer spoke specifically to the scope of work to be carried out and says due to the size of the project, a bidding process must take place before a contract can be awarded.
We have approximately 300 feet of concrete pavement. Together, if you check, we have to do a cross culvert because during the rainy season we have a lot of water that come down that water course. So at least we need to do a cross culvert for the people to cross over to get on the other side. We also have 120 feet of box drain, also included on the scope to be accomplished. The scope of work entails to join both pieces of work together with the box drain, and as I said, the cross culvert, and to do some pavement higher up together with some slipper drains.
Once a contractor is selected, over 15 people are expected to gain employment. You're watching the National Report. We take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
The house was shaking. Then suddenly saw we hear bang, crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Education has received Cabinet's approval for the facilitation of summer programs. Application to stage summer programs must be made to the Ministry, following which an inspection will be done by the Ministry of Health and certification will be given. That announcement was made by Minister for Education, Honorable Emmeline Pear, during the Ministry's press conference on Tuesday. She spoke specifically on the authorization of classes for private individuals or schools.
According to the release and permission from the COVID Committee, Cabinet of Grenada approved, we will facilitate summer programs this year. However, every facility must be inspected and approval must be granted by the Ministry of Health before final approval is granted by the Ministry of Education through a certificate that would say you are ready to go. And so we basically want to advise persons out there that you do not proceed without the necessary authority as it relates to summer program, because we do not want to put our students at any additional risk. So it means that persons wishing to proceed must have that inspection conducted to say that you are ready to accommodate students in whatever facility that you intend to use.
The Ministry of Education retained 129 students at the primary school level for 2020. Minister Pear said that the priority for this year's summer program are the students who have been retained. Her ministry is dedicated to taking all the necessary measures for support.
During this period, we would only focus on that cohort of students, that group of students, to ensure that we don't have too many students out at the same time. So different batches for other target groups will be in September. So what will happen is that those students would be engaged individually first, as Ms. Niles outlined, with their parents. Proper assessment would be done, and those might end up being not just academic, might be economics too. Right? It might be a number of factors, but what we are committing is that those 129 students left to the horse wanting to drink and the horse actually coming to the well, we're going to provide all the water. We're going to provide all the soap. We're going to even hold their hand, and we're going to make sure that we actually give all the necessary support.
And finally in the news, the Royal Grenada Police Force has warned that it will be more forceful in implementing protocols for public transportation and ensuring that bus operators are in adherence with the regulations. ACP Jesmond Prince, officer in charge of police operations, told members of the media during a press conference on Wednesday that the RGPF and stakeholders are finalizing protocols for the operation of public transportation. He explained that discussions in this regard commenced since the resumption of public transportation some weeks ago. He says patrol officers will be more vigorous in ensuring that operators are punished for failure to adhere to approved protocols.
What we are doing in this week coming is to make those more to give more force to the recommendations and the guidelines that was set forth. While in the past there were no penalties for failing to comply with some of the guidelines that were issued, in this week coming up, we will see that being a little more forceful by way of making them punishable by ticket. And I say that to emphasize the point that the Commissioner of Police, in discussion with the Cabinet, will make or has the authority to make guidelines to give effect to the operations of buses.
That story has brought us to the end of the National Report for Thursday, 9th July 2020. Recapping the top story. Government issues warning to businesses over attempts to defraud under the economic stimulus package. On behalf of the entire news team, management and staff of the Government Information Service, I'm Delroy Lozan. Pleasure being in your company.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.